Hello everyone, welcome to the Weekly Sting. This week we are inside the Westover Room at Drysdale Student Center. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler, and before we get into our jam-packed show, we want to start with how you can stay involved with us on social media and of course our website, lynchburgsports.com. There are all your options there, all of the options that are available to us here for Lynchburg Sports, so make sure you follow us and stay up to date with everything that is going on in Hornet Nation. Now, without further ado, let's get to our first guest, women's lacrosse senior Kat Francis. Kat, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I know that things are crazy right now with trying to finish out the senior year on a good note, obviously.
Yes.
But before we get to what you do off the field, let's talk about on the field right now with you guys coming off a win yesterday against Virginia Wesleyan. You had 7 goals in that game, so kudos to that.
Thank you.
For you on that.
Thanks.
I think there is a sense of, we started the season, lost some key players to injury, both defensively and offensively, but you guys are in a good spot. You guys pushed WNL to the limit, lost by 1, you're taking care of teams you're supposed to beat as well. Is there any kind of surprise to how the season has gone after starting the way you did with losing those players? Do you get a sense that there are some people that are kind of, they're actually doing pretty well?
I think in the past we've always had the ability to do as well as we're doing this year, and obviously losing a few players at the beginning of the season has made an impact, but I think it's given the chance for other players who have done well in the past to kind of step up and learn their role in like a larger sense on the field, and they've definitely filled in the cracks that we've needed, and we've done really, really well.
What do you think is the difference between, like you said, in the past, not necessarily reaching that full potential, but this year doing what you always expected to be doing? What do you think is the difference?
I think we're going into each game saying that we know that we can win, we know that we can beat these teams, we know we can hang with these teams. We always have said in the past that the ODAC is kind of anyone's conference. Sure. It's whoever shows up gets to win. So I think we've kind of taken that into each game with us, and we've really produced.
Now, on a personal note, you're having a very tremendous season. Obviously, again, as I mentioned, coming off a 7-goal game against Virginia Wesleyan. Is there anything different in your personal preparation? Is there anything different in terms of game plan that's kind of opened up your abilities to be able to be more successful this season?
Nothing has really changed except talking to other senior athletes whose seasons are over. Maybe they played in the fall and they're done now. And their one word of advice going into my senior season was try anything and obviously have fun, and this is your last chance that you're going to have, so go all the way with it.
We certainly have taken that to the right level. With the way the season has gone so far, I know you don't want to look ahead, nobody wants to look ahead that's on the team, but do you ever think about reasonably we could make it further than we've ever gone before? Absolutely.
I definitely think we can. I think we have the team that can do it. Our coaches are helping us out along the way, and I think we could totally go all the way.
Well, we certainly wish you the best of luck in doing that. You guys are off to a tremendous start.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend. You'll have a home game on Saturday. We'll have that game for you here on LHSN as well. Now, let's get to the stuff off the field. You are part of the athletic training program,
yes.
So that itself is intense enough. For those that didn't see it in the fall, of course, we followed you around for a day and saw that it's not all peaches and cream. There's a lot that goes into it. For you, getting ready to finish your undergrad in athletic training, knowing that you're almost done with that, is there a moment where you sit back and you think, it was really tough and there was a lot of hours into it, but man, I'm glad I did it?
Absolutely. I was able to plan out each year with my clinical experience since my freshman year with my professors and advisors. So I've been able to plan my clinical experience around lacrosse season. So I actually have no clinicals right now, so I'm able to just only focus on lacrosse and doing well in my classes, which has been really, really helpful. So
that is very good that you were able to do that. And I think one thing about our athletic training program is, and obviously you can speak to this, is they do a very good job of working around, especially the athletes that are in their program, their schedule. Do you have a sense of maybe other institutions that don't do as well as that? I mean, is Lynchburg not ahead, but above average in that regard?
I think so, because when I was looking at schools, I was looking at schools with lacrosse teams, but also with athletic training, and almost every school that I looked at, the one thing they've told me was playing a sport and being in this program is extremely hard, and not many people make it. And this was the one school where they said our preceptors are advisors and professors will help you along the way, and there is, you can do this.
Right.
So it was
certainly
really
brings a
reassuring.
level of comfort
Yes,
for you
absolutely.
as well. So
absolutely.
Kudos to the AT program and of course everyone that is involved with making sure you guys do get through it.
Yes.
And they've lived up to their promise. Outside of school, you are very involved with your family in terms of going on vacations and just spending time. And we talked before we got on here about some of the stuff that you do every year with your family. And one of those is, you said every summer you go to the Isle of the Palms
Yes.
in South Carolina?
Yes.
When did that start? Like your whole life?
My whole life.
Okay.
My dad went to the Citadel, which is in Charleston,
Right.
and my mom is from North Carolina, so they've been going down to Isle of Palms since like the 70s and the 80s. And so having kids just kind of, it just kept going. So we've
tag
been
along.
going, we've been going every year since, and it's been awesome.
So you obviously are in love with the beach life, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't blame you one bit for that. If we dig even deeper and we go back in the archives of Cat Francis's life, you were a part of a trip to Massachusetts in 8th grade to
Yes.
the Heifer International. What is Heifer International?
So it's an organization that goes to third world countries, communities in third world countries, and teaches people in communities how to use an animal. So they donate cows or llamas, sheep, any animal that's kind of native to that part of the world, and then they teach them how to use it in terms of like having it, so it has babies, and then how to use it for its wool and for its fur, and then for its milk, whatever else it produces. So it kind of helps the community become more self-sufficient.
Well, I don't think any of us expected to hear any of that on the weekly sting. So glad you could enlighten us, and we all are a little bit smarter now because of that. Last thing I want to ask is just about your time with women's lacrosse. I have only been here for a short amount of time, but getting to know Coach Reed and even the newer GA assistant coaches, what's something that maybe some people might have the wrong idea about Coach Reed because he's not a very expressive person on his face, but obviously he's a great coach to be underneath of, right?
Yeah, he is. He does kind of seem very stoic, like in front of people, but once you get to know him and once you're around him every day at practice and stuff, you understand that he's a joking guy. He likes to have fun. He really enjoys coaching, and he really enjoys our team and lacrosse. So he's a great person to be under.
Yeah, he definitely enjoys you all and what you all have done to this point so far. So not a bad person to be fighting for, if nothing else, down the stretch. So could wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Moving forward.
Thank
you for coming on the show, and good luck and congratulations on graduating.
Thank you very much.
I assume you're going to graduate, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. When we come back on the Weekly Sting, we will talk to LHSN analyst Daniel Rowe. Welcome back, everyone, to this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler, here for LHSN. And before we get to our next guest, we're going to ask you this week's Hornet trivia question. And this week, we ask you, what is the name of the dance that the coaches did yesterday as a part of Give Day once they met those challenges? Of course, the only way to know that is if you're following us on social media. So there's one way to find out before we give you the answer in the next segment. Now, without further ado, let's bring in our next guest, Mr. Daniel Rowe, who is our expert analyst on LHSN, also a pretty good basketball player in his own right. Danny, first of all, thanks for coming on. I know it's short notice.
Yeah, no problem.
But
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you stepping in. And no particular order, just going to talk about how the spring sports have done so far, where they are, where they can be, and you have done a lot of homework here, so I'm really excited to see that. Let's start with the sport that we are on the call for most often. Of course, that's men's lacrosse. Right now, 5-6 overall, 2-1 in the conference, but I feel like the game against Stevenson, yes, it was a loss, but from our vantage point, and if you talk to the coaches too, I feel like they're in a place where they believe that they're a really dangerous 5-6 team, and if they make it through the ODAC and they get to the NCAA tournament, they're going to be a tough team to take out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and the Lynchburg team, they've had a really, really tough non-conference schedule,
yes.
And maybe that's the reason why they have the record that they do, is they're playing high quality teams like that. And this weekend they got Roanoke, and Roanoke hasn't quite had the non-conference schedule that Lynchburg has had. So in a way, they're kind of more prepared for that game, in my opinion, than Roanoke is.
I would agree with that, and go along with your point about non-conference. 6 teams all in the top 15 when they played them. So you take a look at that and think, wow, that is a pretty rough schedule. The teams that Roanoke has played, there are similar opponents in that top 15. They've lost all 3 of those games. So that speaks to your point as well.
Yeah, there are 3 non-conference losses to York, CNU, and Salisbury. A couple of those teams Lynchburg has seen and been competitive with. So
right.
it'll be a fun weekend.
I think it will be, along with the fact that it's just Roanoke and Lynchburg, period. But then you throw in those angles. Both teams want to solidify themselves, obviously, as ODAC contenders starting this weekend. And we move to stay on Stellenberger. Let's go to women's lacrosse. We just had Kat on, and we talked to her and how she feels about the team and where they are and where they could be. But from an outsider standpoint, it does kind of feel a little bit surprising that they're 7-3. We weren't sure what to expect out of the team, especially as we said in the last segment, losing those 2 players to injury, Dory and Grace. What are your overall feelings about what they've been able to do and coming off a big pounding over the Marlins yesterday at Virginia Wesleyan?
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable. The thing is that they have done, overcoming the adversity of losing players like that and injuries is something that's kind of typical for seasons, but to lose the quality of players that they did really scared them and scared a lot of other people that are fans of the program. So to be able to see them kind of overcome that and play pretty consistently over the last several games is really, really good for them.
And you've been a part of, obviously, the past years, just like Kat was talking about, where they felt like they could be, where they are now, but they just hadn't quite got there yet. From watching them from the years past, and you think about what they've done so far this year, do you feel like there's a certain difference? Is there a specific area where they've improved?
I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it, Joe, but I know they are playing really well together, and sometimes it takes some adversity to get a team to mesh like that. And so I think it's a mix of that and players just peaking at the right times, and they've won 3 in a row, 6 of the last 7. And that only loss was a 1-goal loss to WNL, who's sitting at the top of the conference right now. So I think they got a lot of things to look forward to.
Definitely do that. And of course, this Saturday they'll be on LHSN for you to enjoy at 1 o'clock. We go to the Diamond. We go to softball. They had to talk about a non-conference schedule. They had a really tough non-conference schedule as well, playing the number 1 team, the number 2 team, number 10 team, including Virginia Wesleyan, who was number 10 at the time. So even their conference games, have been tough as well. But they sit there at 4-2 in the ODAC. They're doing well as of late. Comeback wins against William Peace most recently in walk-off fashion. For you as an athlete, when you're able to pull out those close games, does that give you extra confidence moving forward that you can win those tight ones?
Oh, totally. I mean, the season, in essence, it's preparing you for the off season or the postseason,
right.
Excuse me. And so when you have a tough schedule like that, it really sets you up for success later on. I'm a firm believer of that. And you talked about them being 4th in the ODAC, and they've played the least amount of ODAC games. So I mean, they're sitting at 4-2, and they still have a number of games ahead of them where they can bump up that schedule against teams that are higher than them in the rankings. So, I also think softball has a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they want to get back to the success they had just a few years ago as well. Speaking of success a few years ago, baseball, not that long ago, was ODAC champions. This year, not off to a very good start, and it has continued that way here throughout the middle of the season. But I think the key is when you watch the team and you see the youth on the team, which of course you talk to the coaches like, hey, we're way past blaming it on the youth, obviously, but they're still going to make some mistakes. However, I think you look at the infield, you look at the hitting, those younger players that were struggling in the beginning of the year, they've definitely made progress, which is a good sign for the future.
Yeah, progress is definitely a good sign going forward, and I think that they've played a number of close games, just haven't quite been able to put it all together. They had good pieces here and there, but until you're able to get it all together, you might not see some wins like that, and some of that comes with the youth and the development over time. So, things to look forward to for the future in future years. I know this weekend they've got Randolph-Macon, who's number 5 in the nation, but at the same time they're pretty low in the ODAC standings because they haven't performed well. All of their losses coming in ODAC. Right. So you never know. I mean, Lynchburg might be able to knock off a good team.
And they're coming off. Lynchburg's coming off a loss to Avery, but it was to the final out in the final inning again, as you mentioned. So they've been in tight games. Yep. At some point, that's going to change. At some point, they're going to win that tight game, and that could be the springboard they need to get themselves in a good position for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that Avery game. They were down 3-0, scored 3 in the 7th inning, and then Avery got a run in the bottom of the 9th. So it's just the things that you're so close to being able to closing out a game and perhaps forcing some extra innings there and give you a chance to win. But they're right there, but you never know what can happen.
Well, in addition to all those sports, obviously you've got tennis. With the women's tennis team is close to tying or breaking the on trajectory anyway to breaking the all-time wins in a single season. You've got track, which will be hosting the ODAC championship this year. We're going to stream that for you. So there's some good news for you if you didn't already know that. And then also golf is continuing to make strides under Coach John Howard to continually get better for the years to come. So spring sports are doing great overall, and we're happy that you could come on and of course enlighten us on how things have gone so far.
Yeah.
And of course we've got a little bit of a hiatus before we're going to be back together before men's lacrosse is back on the field. But of course Danny will be around until then to talk about anything else that I can pull him in here and do a quick job for. So Danny, thanks to so much.
Yeah, no problem.
For coming on the show. Appreciate it. We come back, we will hear from men's lacrosse senior Aaron Murphy.
It's on us, every Hornet, to stand up for one cause, to stand up against sexual assault.
To have the knowledge necessary to identify when sexual assault may occur.
To show integrity when confronted with a domestic violence conflict.
Where consent has not or cannot be given.
To create a community where sexual assault is unacceptable.
To provide service to survivors who need our support.
To embrace diversity and to provide a safe atmosphere for all Hornets.
Regardless of race, sexual orientation, gender, or ability.
To engage others on the importance of sexual assault awareness.
To value the tradition of standing up for others when they reach out.
To be consistent with our message, never wavering what is unacceptable.
It's on us to stand up to sexual assault at Lynchburg College. We are one nation, and it's on us.
It's on us. It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
Welcome back, everyone, to this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. I'm your host, Joe Hutzler, and with last segment, we asked you the Hornet Trivia question. So let's get to the Hornet Trivia answer. We asked you in the last segment what's the name of the dance, I should say, of the song that the coaches did yesterday after they accepted their 500 Donors Challenge there at Schellenberger Field. If you follow us on social media, you would have seen the video and know that the song is called Watch Me by Silento. So it has become a viral hit over the last few months, and we used that to our advantage yesterday with the coaches. So without further ado, let's bring in our last guest, men's lacrosse senior Aaron Murphy. Aaron, thanks for coming on the show, man.
No problem.
I want to get into what kind of Danny and I talked about there in the last segment about the mindset of this team right now, sitting at 5-6, but played some really tough games, non-conference wise, and talking to the coaches, they feel like you are definitely the most dangerous 5-6 team in the country. Is that how the rest of the team feels?
Absolutely. I think we're just going into every practice, every game with just the competition aspect, like the mindset that we're going to compete against each other every single day as hard as we can. So then when it comes Saturday or whatever day we play, we're going to have that same mindset and go out there and just play our best lacrosse that we have so far this year.
What do you think has been the biggest benefit of playing that non-conference schedule? Because some people would argue that it's not good to do that because then you're sitting in a situation like you are now. But do you feel like that regardless of the record, you're going to have a lot more experience to help you in those postseason games than other teams?
Absolutely. I think just playing a tough schedule overall just really helps our confidence and know where we're at and what we need to work on instead of just playing games where we're going to blow people out. We might not find out what we're doing wrong or what we need to improve on. So those tough games really help us learn more about ourselves, really.
Or even reach your full potential.
Exactly.
If you're playing those teams like Shenandoah, Bridgewater, that certainly is not going to help you when you do play a tougher team like Stevenson or Salisbury or something. For you, when you look at this team where they are now and you try to think about the things you can still improve on, what's the talk? What's the talk in the locker room, what you guys need to get better at?
I think it's the same thing we've been going over all years. We need to work on clearing, and also like our efficiency, like when we have the ball. Like sometimes we'll get the ball after a long defensive possession, and then we'll go to the goal right away, and either they'll save it or score. But then even if we do score, then they might get the ball back when our defense is still tired. So just kind of working on our efficiency and like just basic, simple stuff like possessing the ball, and as I said, clearing the ball as well.
It's no secret by now that last week you played a different position on the field. You played the midfield position. And I talked to you on Sunday, you're like, man, I'm tired. Because you obviously are running more than you typically would normally do in a game. What did you take from that experience that you really liked, that you maybe didn't think that you would enjoy about playing the midfield?
I think I just have a little more control over the game now, because now I can help with the clearing. I can get us the ball, kind of almost set the tempo. Just kind of having the ball on my stick a little more, just kind of gives me a little more confidence in what we're doing and just possessing the ball and everything we do as a whole.
I enjoyed it. I'll admit it. I enjoyed seeing 51 sprint across the midfield line instead of just holding back there in the attack. So hopefully that becomes something that we can utilize to be more successful. Outside of lacrosse, at least playing-wise, you still want to stay involved even after you graduate. I know that your inspiration is to be a college lacrosse coach, but I also found out that you would like to be an AD someday. Where did that inspiration come from?
Honestly, I'm not really sure where it came from. I just know I want to work in like athletic department, stay involved with sports like throughout my whole life. I figured that would be a pretty cool way to stay involved in this whole.
When the first part of your title was athletics, it's probably a good idea or a good thing that you're probably going to know that I'm working with sports all the time. So I think that's interesting. I think that's cool. And obviously, the best way to get that started is to be a coach and find out all the ins and outs of that. Now, speaking of finding out ins and outs, you actually interned with a sports team, the Wilmington Blue Rocks. Was that this past summer?
Yes.
Okay. They're the Kansas City Royals farm team, correct?
Yes.
Now, what did you do exactly with the Blue Rocks?
I was just kind of like a game day intern, so I would go like set up game day, like they do like the on-field games and stuff, and like sell games in the stands and whatnot. Just kind of help out with that, and just like kind of set everything up for the game day.
And you also were a piece of celery, as a mascot. What was that about?
Every time they would score a run, the celery stalk would come out and like dance and whatnot, and it came from like celebration celery.
Oh,
so
okay.
Now they just have like a lime green mascot that comes out when they score.
And no one took video of this. We have no video evidence of Murphy in a celery
tried to keep the video to a minimum.
Man, that would have been golden stuff right there to keep. Were you a good dancer? Did you do all right?
I'm a terrible dancer.
Well, I won't even. I was thinking about asking you on the show, but we won't see that.
Stay away from that.
We don't want to see that. Outside of course, the internship and what you do here at Lacrosse, you've traveled a good bit. You enjoy traveling, I assume. You've actually been to the north, into Canada. What did you like about that experience?
It was awesome. It was just me and my family went on a skiing trip when we were younger to Mount St. Anne, and just it was so cool being up in Canada. Just all the snow. I love snowboarding in the winter, so
perfect.
It's an awesome trip.
That's the best place to go if you love snowboarding, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to end this week with something we started last week. It's a game that we like to call Rapid Fire.
Okay.
And that cool little graphic. The way this works is just rapid fire questions, back to back. You have 20 seconds to answer 4 questions.
Okay.
You don't know, I'll flip that over. You don't know what I'm going to ask you, and in this sealed envelope is the questions you're going to ask me. I have no idea what these questions are. So I did not cheat, I did not look. This is all brand new. So while you open that up, I'm going to get the timer set, and I'm going to ask you questions first, okay? And then you have a chance to get revenge if you see so fit. All right, 20, not 20 minutes, Joe, not 20 minutes, 20 seconds. 20 seconds on the clock. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. And boom. Who has the most clean locker in your locker room?
Probably Dan Angel.
You could meet one person, dead or alive. Who would it be?
Pass.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
756.
All right, let's get to the last question. You didn't quite make it in 20 seconds.
No.
What kind of shampoo do you use in your hair?
Pantene.
Pantene? Is it a specific kind of Pantene?
No, it's just brand.
Just the brand. Just Pantene anything.
Pantene.
Okay. Let's come back to that second question. Anybody you could meet, dead or alive, who would it be? Anyone.
President.
President who?
Barack Obama.
Oh, okay. The president.
Yeah, the
one
president.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. There's been a lot of them, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that was shaky, but got a chance to get me back. So here we go. Set up. 20 seconds on the clock. You ready?
Right, you ready?
And go.
Which coach, head or assistant is or might be the best prankster?
The best prankster. Oh, goodness gracious. Tory Dot.
The rules from which sport have been the toughest to learn?
Field hockey.
Which head coach might you want to take a cross-country road trip with?
Hillary Scott.
What is one kind of event at LC that you've always wanted to go to but haven't had the chance?
Oh, kind of event at LC that I haven't had a chance to go to. I haven't had a chance to go to commencement yet. So maybe that'll change.
Perfect.
Whew. Okay, that was rougher than I thought. Hillary Scott on a road trip. I'll have to hope I don't regret that answer as I think about it later. Thanks, man, for being so flexible and doing something like that. I really appreciate it. Absolutely. And good luck the rest of the season. You got a big game on Saturday against Roanoke. We all know how crucial that always is. So enjoy it and come on back with a W against them, all right?
All right, thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Yep. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Weekly Sting. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back same time, same place next week.